All India Radio presents Morning News. Good morning. I am Saira Mujtaba and with me is VC Pramod. The headlines. Prime Minister Narendra Modi to inaugurate Maritime India Summit 2021 this morning. Prime Minister says empowering small farmers is central to government's vision. Notifications for first phase of assembly elections to be issued today in West Bengal and Assam. Counting of votes for local body polls underway in Gujarat. India sees highest number of single-day passengers since resumption of flights in May last. Telecom spectrum auction to continue today. Bids worth over 77,000 crore rupees received on first day. Israel officially receives first ever UAE ambassador. World Trade Organization urges member states to license more COVID-19 vaccine manufacturing in developing countries. And in sports, Indian hockey team to take on host Germany in second match of the European Tour Series this evening. As the nation fights the COVID-19 pandemic, we begin with a message of precaution to stay safe and protected by following these 3 simple steps. Wear a face mask, maintain 2 gaz ki duri for social distancing, focus on hand and face hygiene. Now the news in detail. Prime Minister Narendra Modi will inaugurate Maritime India Summit 2021 today through video conferencing. The 3-day summit will be held till 4th of March. More from our correspondent.
The 3-day-long Maritime India Summit 2021 is being organized by the Ministry of Ports, Shipping and Waterways on a virtual platform www.maritimeindiasummit.in. The summit will visualize a roadmap for India's maritime sector for next decade and will work to propel India to the forefront of the global maritime sector. Eminent speakers from several countries are expected to attend the summit and explore the potential business opportunities and investments in Indian maritime domain. Denmark is a partner country for the 3-day summit. The virtual exhibition, along with exclusive demo sessions to be held during the event, will showcase the latest technology, products and services in the maritime sector. The virtual Maritime India Summit will host forums to foster interactions between stakeholders through business-to-business and government-to-business meetings, special sessions on investment opportunities in India's maritime sector. Anupam Mish, AI News, Delhi.
All India Radio Delhi will broadcast this program live on its FM Gold and Indraprastha channels from 11 a.m. onwards. This broadcast will also be live streamed on AIR Live News 24/7 and Akashvani AIR YouTube channels. Prime Minister Narendra Modi has said that empowerment of small farmers is central to his government's vision. He said empowerment of small farmers will greatly help in ridding Indian agriculture of many problems. Mr. Modi was addressing a webinar on effective implementation of budget provisions regarding agriculture and farmers' welfare through a video conference yesterday.
देश के छोटे किसानों को ध्यान में रखते हुए सरकार ने बीते वर्षों में अनेक महत्वपूर्ण निर्णय लिए हैं। इन छोटे किसानों की संख्या 12 करोड़ के करीब है और इन छोटे किसानों का एम्पावरमेंट ही भारतीय कृषि को अनेक परेशानियों से मुक्ति दिलाने में बहुत मदद करेगा। इतना ही नहीं, ग्रामीण इकोनॉमी का ड्राइविंग फोर्स भी वही बनेगा।
Experts from agriculture, dairy, fishery sector, stakeholders from the public, private and cooperative sector and representatives from banks funding the rural economy participated in the webinar. The Prime Minister highlighted some of the provisions for agriculture in this union budget, like increasing the agriculture credit target to 16,50,000 crore rupees with priority to animal husbandry, dairy and fishery sector.
सरकार ने इस बार एग्रीकल्चर क्रेडिट टारगेट को बढ़ाकर 16,50,000 करोड़ रुपया कर दिया है। इसमें भी पशुपालन, डेयरी और फिशरी सेक्टर को प्राथमिकता दी गई है। रूरल इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर फंड को भी बढ़ाकर 40,000 करोड़ रुपया कर दिया गया है। माइक्रो इरिगेशन फंड की भी राशि बढ़ाकर 2 गुना कर दी गई। ऑपरेशन ग्रीन स्कीम का दायरा बढ़ाकर अब 22 पेरिसेबल प्रोडक्ट्स तक का उसको कर दिया गया है। देश की 1000 और मंडियों को ई नाम से जोड़ने का फैसला लिया गया है। इन सारे ही निर्णयों में सरकार की सोच झलकती है, सरकार का इरादा महसूस होता है और साथ साथ सरकार के विजन का पता चलता है।
Mr. Modi stressed on the need for post-harvest revolution or food processing revolution and value addition in the 21st century amidst ever-increasing agricultural production. Mr. Modi called for the improvement of the system of taking the product from the fields to processing units and emphasized that hand-holding of these units be done by the farmer-producer organizations or FPOs. He stressed on the need for expanding the options for the country's farmers to sell their produce. He said, "We have to expand our country's agriculture sector into the global market for processed food." Mr. Modi said, "We must increase the number of agro-industries clusters near the village so that the people of the village can get employment related to farming in the village itself."
Notifications for the first phase of assembly elections in West Bengal and Assam will be issued today. Polling will be held on 27th of this month. In the first phase, 30 constituencies in West Bengal and 47 in Assam will go to the polls. Assembly elections in West Bengal will be held in 8 phases and in 3 phases in Assam. In Gujarat, the counting of votes for polls to 81 municipalities, 31 district panchayats and 231 taluka panchayats is being held today. It began at 7 this morning. Polling took place last Sunday. Our correspondent reports that out of 8,474 seats, polling was held for 8,235 seats, as on 237 seat candidates were declared unopposed and no candidate fielded on 2 seats. Here is more from our Ahmedabad correspondent.
More than 22,000 candidates are in fray, though the main contest is between BJP and Congress. According to official press release of the State Election Commission, around 58.82% turnout recorded in municipalities, 65.80% turnout recorded in district panchayats, and 66.60% turnout recorded in taluka panchayats. Repolling was held in Ghodia in Zalod Taluka of Daud district yesterday after 2 EVMs were damaged during the polling on Sunday. 17 people have been arrested in Vadodara for allegedly taking EVMs after polling on Sunday. Yogesh Pandya, AR News, Ahmedabad.
India recorded the highest number of passengers on board flights in a single day on 28th of February since the domestic flights resumed in the country in May. Civil Aviation Minister Hardeep Singh Puri said the number of domestic passengers on 28th February rose to 3,13,668 on 2,353 flights. India had suspended all flight operations in March 2020 to curb the spread of COVID-19. After a gap of 2 months, the domestic flight operations resumed in May following stringent measures. To bring back stranded Indians from across the world, the central government started Vande Bharat mission in May 2020. Air India and several other private domestic airlines like Indigo and SpiceJet have been operating flights under the Vande Bharat mission since then. The minister said over 5.5 million people returned to India from different countries under the mission. India has created a travel bubble with over 25 countries like United States, Germany and France. The nationwide COVID-19 vaccination phase to cover senior citizens and people above 45 years with comorbidities began yesterday. The registration for vaccination can be done at www.cowin.gov.in. Citizens can register and book an appointment for vaccination anytime and anywhere using the Cowin 2.0 portal or through other IT applications such as Arogya Setu. The vaccine will be administered free of cost at 10,000 government hospitals to these groups, while the cost of the vaccine at around 20,000 private vaccination centers will be borne by the people. Prime Minister Narendra Modi took the first dose of the COVID-19 vaccine at AIIMS in New Delhi yesterday. In a tweet, he appealed to the people who are eligible to take the vaccine. The Prime Minister said, "It is remarkable how our doctors and scientists have worked in quick time to strengthen the global fight against COVID-19. Vice President M. Venkaiah Naidu was administered the vaccination in Chennai. Home Minister Amit Shah, External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar, Minister of State in PMO Dr. Jitendra Singh also took the first dose of the vaccine yesterday.
National capital Delhi has reported 175 new COVID-19 cases in the last 24 hours. With this, total cases reached 6,39,464. 105 persons recovered in the same time period, and total recoveries has reached 6,27,149. One person lost his life due to the pandemic in Delhi. With this, the death toll reached 10,911. Delhi government said active cases in the city now stands at 1,404. In Maharashtra, around 6,700 senior citizens and persons above 45 years with comorbidities were vaccinated yesterday. At many places, including Mumbai, people gave an overwhelming response to vaccination. More from our Mumbai correspondent.
Till date, a total of 12,28,211 beneficiaries vaccinated for COVID-19 in Maharashtra. It includes around 6.66 lakh healthcare workers, out of which around 1.7 lakh received second dose of vaccine. A total of 3.88 lakh frontline workers are also inoculated with COVID-19 vaccine in the state. The health department data shows in the state 3,777 people above the age of 60 vaccinated on the first day of the next phase. A total of 946 persons with comorbidities and who are within the age group of 45 to 60 also turned up yesterday. In Mumbai, 1,722 senior citizens and 260 persons above the age of 45 with comorbidities inoculated on the first day. Jeevan Bhavsar, AIR News, Mumbai.
In Bihar, a total of 80,774 healthcare workers took the second dose of COVID-19 vaccine. So far, 6,43,005 beneficiaries have been inoculated with vaccine doses since the start of the vaccination drive in the state. Meanwhile, 2,60,645 patients have recovered from the COVID-19 infection in the state so far. COVID-19 recovery rate has improved to 99.27% in Bihar. This is 2.2% more than the national average. The number of active cases is continuously declining. Currently, only 369 patients are receiving treatment at various hospitals. No positive case has been reported from 28 out of 38 districts of the state.
You are listening to the morning news on All India Radio. A reminder of the headlines before we move on. Prime Minister Narendra Modi to inaugurate Maritime India Summit 2021 this morning. Prime Minister says empowering small farmers is central to government's vision. Notifications for first phase of assembly elections to be issued today in West Bengal and Assam. Counting of votes for local body polls underway in Gujarat. India sees highest number of single-day passengers since resumption of flights in May last. Telecom spectrum auction to continue today. Bids worth over 77,000 crore rupees received on first day. Israel officially receives first ever UAE ambassador. World Trade Organization urges member states to license more COVID-19 vaccine manufacturing in developing countries. And in sports, Indian hockey team to take on host Germany in the second match of the European Tour Series this evening. For quick news updates round the clock, follow us on Twitter at AIR News Alerts.
Communications Minister Ravi Shankar Prasad has said that on the first day of Telecom spectrum auction yesterday, winning bids received till 6 p.m. were worth 77,146 crore rupees. This has already substantially exceeded pre-bid estimates of 45,000 crore rupees. He said bidding took place for spectrum in 800, 900, 1,800, 2,100 and 2,300 MHz. Mr. Prasad said participants did not bid for 700 and 2,500 MHz. The auction of spectrum commenced at 10 a.m. yesterday and 4 rounds of bidding took place till 6 p.m. Another 1 or 2 rounds are expected today. 3 bidders, Bharti Airtel Limited, Vodafone Idea Limited and Reliance Jio Infocom are participating in the auction. Spectrum of over 2,308 MHz is being put to auction, out of which so far there have been bids for 849.2 MHz. This is almost 60% of the spectrum put to auction, excluding in 700 and 2,500 MHz bands. The gross GST revenue collected in the month of February is 1,13,143 crore rupees. The Finance Ministry said out of this amount, CGST is 21,092 crore rupees, SGST is 27,273 crores, IGST is 55,253 crores and cess is 9,525 crore rupees. The government has settled 22,398 crore rupees to CGST and 17,534 crores to SGST from IGST as regular settlement. In addition, the centre has also settled 48,000 crore rupees as IGST ad hoc settlement in the ratio of 50:50 between centre and states and UTs. The total revenue of centre and the states after regular settlement and ad hoc settlement in February 67,490 crore rupees for CGST and 68,807 crores for the SGST. In line with the trend of recovery in the GST revenues over the past 5 months, the revenues for February are 7% higher than the GST revenues in the same month last year. During the month, revenues from import of goods was 15% higher and the revenues from domestic transactions are 5% higher than the revenues from these sources during the same month last year. Talking to AIR, economist Naveen Gupta said, the rise in collection shows that the confidence in economy in domestic and international front is increasing.
ग्रोथ है वो दोनों फॉरेन ट्रेड में भी है और डोमेस्टिक ट्रेड में है। ये बताता है कि इकोनॉमी में जो कॉन्फिडेंस है डोमेस्टिक फ्रंट पे भी और इंटरनेशनल फ्रंट पे भी बढ़ रहा है। सरकार के वेरियस मेजर्स रहे हैं, प्रावधान रहे हैं, वो कामयाब हैं और से डोमेस्टिक प्रोडक्शन भी बढ़ रही है, इंटरनेशनल ट्रेड भी बढ़ रहा है, नौकरियां भी बढ़ रही हैं।
Housing and Urban Affairs Ministry launched the field assessment of Swachh Sarvekshan 2021 at a web event in New Delhi yesterday. This will be the 6th edition of annual cleanliness survey. Swachh Sarvekshan was introduced in 2016 as a competitive framework to encourage cities to improve the status of urban sanitation while encouraging large-scale citizen participation. The Office of the Principal Scientific Advisor to the Government of India under its Waste to Wealth mission has launched the Swachhata Sarthi Fellowship to recognize students, community workers or self-help groups, SSGs, and municipal or sanitary workers who are engaged in tackling the enormous challenge of waste management scientifically and sustainably. The Waste to Wealth mission is one of the 9 national missions of the Prime Minister's Science, Technology and Innovation Advisory Council. The last date for applying to the fellowship is the 19th of this month. Up to 500 fellows will be recognized under the fellowship. Details and application link is available at www.wasetowealth.gov.in.
Textile Secretary UP Singh has said that the first ever Virtual India Toy Fair 2021 envisioned by Prime Minister Narendra Modi is a great beginning which will give a lot of fillip to the toy industry. Participating in a webinar on success stories of entrepreneurs working with traditional toy clusters, Mr. Singh said that toys have been identified as one of the 24 key sectors under Atmanirbhar Bharat Abhiyan. Mr. Singh said that Toycathon 2021 was conceived to challenge India's innovative minds to conceptualize novel toys and games and to crowdsource solutions to different problems faced by the toy industry, and wonderful ideas from all cross-sections were received. Participating in the webinar on scaling up toy exports from India, Commerce Secretary Dr. Anup Wadhawan said, there is a significant export potential from India in the toy sector. Mr. Wadhawan said there is a need to create an enabling environment for potential exporters to improve productivity and technological content of Indian products. In the eastern Ladakh region, zero border villages are now getting better connectivity by all means. Opposite to much discussed Finger 4, Mirak and Khakter villages on the southern side of Pangong Tso got mobile connectivity yesterday. Here's a report from our Leh correspondent.
Under Operation Sadbhavana, the army laid OFC cable to fulfill the dream of villagers to have mobile connectivity. Indian Army's Chushul Battalion Second in Command Lieutenant Colonel Anirudh Singh said,
आर्मी ने और बीएसएनएल ने मिलके ये एक बीएसएनएल टावर लगाया गया जिसमें आर्मी ने सामान लाने में और ओएफसी ले करने में पूरी मदद की है। ओएफसी यहाँ से लेके चुशुल तक ले किया है, जो कि पहले चुशुल ऑलरेडी तांगशे से कनेक्टेड था। सहयोग सबका है, मेहनत आर्मी की है और आज बड़ी खुशी का दिन है कि यहाँ पे कम्युनिकेशन टावर सपोर्ट हो गया है।
BSNL provided the equipment and Chushul Councillor Konchok Stangen provided solar power systems to the project. Konchok Stangen said army and border villages are symbiotic and complement each other in need.
70 साल के बाद पहली दफा इस गांव में कम्युनिकेशन का फैसिलिटीज आया। आर्मी के भी कुछ फोर्सेस हैं, वहाँ पे भी नेटवर्क भी कवर करेंगे। हम कोशिश करेंगे आने वाले सालों में 3G का भी यहाँ पे फैसिलिटीज लोगों तक पहुँचाया जाए।
As the situation is easing with disengagement at line of actual control and with vaccination program on COVID pandemic front, the stalled developmental activities are expected to take off this season in Chushul and Changtong regions. From Merak at Pangong, Ramesh Chandra for All India Radio News.
International Women's Day falls on 8th of March every year. India has the maximum number of female commercial pilots as compared to other developed nations. All India Radio News will bring you stories of women achievers from diverse fields. India has one of the highest number of female pilots in the world. Captain Nivedita Bhasin, who started flying in the year 1979, is the first female pilot to command a jet plane in 1989. Talking to AIR News, Captain Nivedita Bhasin shared the memories of hers in the initial days. Captain Bhasin was also the youngest co-pilot and was the first to be a part of the all-women cockpit crew flying from Kolkata to Silchar.
Captain Nivedita Bhasin has many firsts in her name. She was a part of the first all-women cockpit crew. Captain Bhasin says, earlier people were apprehensive in flying with female pilots. She says, over the years, the situation has changed a lot. Notably, India has the maximum number of commercial female pilots.
1984, there were just 2 women pilots when I joined Indian Airlines. I joined it as a 3rd woman pilot on the Fokker Friendship aircraft. But today, India has surged ahead of the entire world in the percentage of women airline pilots. Indian Airlines started the trend. We set the ball rolling, and then Air India followed in the year 1988. Of course, it was a very, very small community of us girls, and definitely it was really lonely for us. It was a very difficult life, but with time, I think our colleagues got used to us flying alongside them. There was a comfort factor. The passengers got used to seeing women pilots in uniform, and now we are so many of us, I don't think it makes any difference to either the crew or the passengers to see women pilots flying.
Deeksha Saxena, All India Radio News, Delhi.
Madhya Pradesh Finance Minister Jagdish Devda will present a paperless state annual budget in the Legislative Assembly today. Along with this, the app related to the budget will also be launched. The budget this time will comprise suggestions from the citizens also, as ahead of the session, Chief Minister Shivraj Singh Chauhan urged citizens to send suggestions to the MP government portal. New chief of the World Trade Organization WTO has urged the member states to work with pharmaceutical companies to license more COVID-19 vaccine manufacturing in developing countries in order to triple global production. On her first day in office, WTO chief Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala said people are dying in poor countries. In a speech to the WTO's 164 member states, she said the world has a normal capacity of production of 3.5 billion doses of vaccines, and we now seek to manufacture 10 billion doses. Okonjo-Iweala said companies must be encouraged to open up and license more viable manufacturing sites now in developing countries.
The World Health Organization has said that the number of new coronavirus infections globally rose last week for the first time in 7 weeks. WHO Director General Tedros Adhanom Ghebreyesus said the rise in cases is disappointing but not surprising, and urged countries not to relax measures to fight the disease.
Foreign Correspondents Club of India, FCCC, has said that working conditions for journalists continue to decline in China in 2020, with the government harassing, intimidating and expelling reporters using all arms of state power. The FCCC said in its annual report that for the 3rd consecutive year, not a single correspondent said working conditions have improved. The club interviewed 150 of 220 correspondent members representing news organizations from 30 countries and regions for the purpose of the report. The report said at least 18 foreign journalists from the New York Times, the Wall Street Journal and the Washington Post were expelled in 2020. A report released by a US-based company has revealed that a Chinese government-linked group of hackers targeted India's critical power grid system through malware. It has raised a suspicion whether last year's massive power outage in Mumbai was a result of the online intrusion. Recorded Future, a Massachusetts-based company which studies the use of the Internet by state actors, in its recent report details the campaign conducted by a China-linked threat activity group Red Eco targeting the Indian power sector. Since early 2020, Recorded Future's Insect Group observed a large increase in suspected targeted intrusion activity against Indian organizations from the Chinese state-sponsored group.
In hockey, India will take on host Germany in the second match of the European Tour Series today. The match will be played at 8:30 p.m. Indian time. On Sunday, the Indian men's team, led by P.R. Srijesh, put up a scintillating show in the first of their four-match series as they outclassed Germany 6-1. It was their first international match in over 12 months. On March 6 and 8, India will take on Great Britain at Antwerp in Belgium before wrapping up the 17-day tour. And now let's take a look at the weather update for the day. National capital Delhi will experience strong surface winds during daytime. Minimum temperature was around 14 degrees Celsius, while maximum will be around 29 degrees. Mumbai will have a mainly clear sky with temperature varying between 22 and 36 degrees Celsius, while Chennai will have a partly cloudy sky. The temperature will fluctuate between 22 and 32 degrees Celsius. Kolkata will also have a partly cloudy sky today. The temperature will fluctuate between 22 and 35 degrees Celsius. Jammu will have a mainly clear sky. Minimum temperature was 11 degrees Celsius, while maximum will be around 27 degrees. In Srinagar, there will be mainly clear sky becoming partly cloudy towards the afternoon or evening. The temperature will hover between 1 and 13 degrees Celsius. Leh will have a mainly clear sky. Minimum temperature was -9, while maximum will be around 6 degrees.
And now an overview of today's newspapers. All papers have widely covered the start of Phase 2 of the COVID vaccination drive, with the PM getting the first jab, apart from other stories. Hindustan Times notes over 5 million sign up on day 1 as vaccine drive enters Phase 2, adding Modi begins next leg with Covaxin shot, urges others to get vaccinated. While the Indian Express headlines Phase 2 Day 1, 1.46 lakh from priority groups get first shot, 25 lakh register. In another major story, dailies have widely noticed former French President Nicolas Sarkozy being sentenced in a graft case. The Asian Age writes, Sarkozy sent to 1-year jail for corruption. The Hindu Business Line writes, Rs 1.13 lakh crore GST mop-up in February points to stable recovery. And finally, get prepared for a blazing summer sun this year, as many dailies have reported the Weather Department's prediction. The Times of India quotes the IMD in its headline, Scorching summer looming for North India. The Pioneer writes, North and East India to be hotter till May, says IMD.
And now, before we end the bulletin, the headlines once again. Prime Minister Modi to inaugurate Maritime India Summit 2021 this morning. Prime Minister says empowering small farmers is central to government's vision. Notifications for first phase of assembly elections to be issued today in West Bengal and Assam. Counting of votes for local body polls underway in Gujarat. India sees highest number of single-day passengers since resumption of flights in May last. Telecom spectrum auction to continue today. Bids worth over 77,000 crore rupees received on Thursday. Israel officially receives first ever UAE ambassador. World Trade Organization urges member states to license more COVID-19 vaccine manufacturing in developing countries. And in sports, Indian hockey team to take on host Germany in second match of the European Tour Series this evening. And with that, we end the morning news. Have a great day.